to explain how to prepare your body before you have a baby, I think I'm going to share what happened to me after I had my baby. So, 4 babies, 5 years, I was literally pregnant, breastfeeding, and went through that cycle. And after baby number 4, I was like, I'm done and I'm ready to get my body back. And for me, I was on a sprint, and anyone who has gone through a postpartum recovery, it's never a sprint, right? Postpartum recovery is a marathon. It's a lifelong journey, but I didn't know that at that time. And so I was in this mode of snap back, and I want to get my body back as fast as possible, because I would look in the mirror and be so upset at what I was seeing. And so I went to town. I was working out very aggressively. And when I think about it, I was working out the way I did before I had babies, doing the treadmill, doing the crunches, doing the planking, doing everything that I thought worked for me before I had babies. And, 4 months in, I was all of a sudden one day on my floor, like doing a sit up, and my whole hand kind of fell into my belly. All 4 fingers just went in, and I grabbed it and I was like, what's going on? What is this? And, I ended up having something called a diastasis recti. And for those of you who don't know, it's basically you have your recti muscle, a right and a left, and in between them, there's something called the linea alba, which is a connective tissue. And it's very normal during pregnancy for our bodies to accommodate for the growing baby. The recti muscle kind of splay open, and for many, it just snaps back together. And for some, in fact, as I was doing my own research, about 1/3 of women postpartum still have a diastasis recti, which is a lot for the number of pregnancies we have across the world. So one, I didn't even know my muscles had not snapped back together. And so I was doing all these exercises that were actually making it worse. And, that's why I felt like my legs were shrinking, my arms were shrinking, but I was ending up with this like mommy pooch. Seriously, I thought I was 4, 5, 6 months pregnant. And it was because I was doing all this, all these movements like planking, which was just putting pressure and just making my, diastasis worse. And so eventually, I saw a physical therapist and, realized what I needed to do to make my body strong. And, if there's something that I recommend postpartum, and there's just not a good, we have one OB visit 6 weeks postpartum, they kind of clear you and then you're on your own. And I was cleared at 6 weeks. And so I thought I could go back to working out normally. So I would highly recommend, as you're, take it slow, take it easy, but see a physical therapist, someone who actually specializes in pelvic floor rehabilitation. And, before you have a baby, I think having a strong core is absolutely important. And, that image of a strong core, initially before I had kids, it was like that 6-pack, and that's not what your core is, right? It is your back, it is your butt, it is, your legs, all of that make up your core. And so, I never did Pilates, I never did the bar, I never, had a Bosu ball, I never did anything to strengthen my core. And when you get pregnant, you gain weight. And so if you have a strong core before you get pregnant, you're going to have, fewer issues with lower back pain. You're going to have fewer issues with like leakage. A lot of women who have a weak pelvic floor after delivery, when they're coughing and sneezing, they'll have issues. And so I think focusing on even before you have a baby, incorporating these sort of pelvic floor Pilates, I think is a great way to incorporate and strengthening your core.